And good evening and welcome to the Icecast Live. Apologies for the camera angle tonight, folks. My webcam stand is broken. So the webcam is in a strange position, hence this odd picture of my face, far too close up. But you won't have to suffer that for much longer because we have got a guest on tonight. And his name is Matthew Soffe, which I have been confirmed of. Apparently people pronounce it in different ways, so I'm really excited to talk to Matt, actually, because he's done some really cool stuff on Judge Dredd Magazine, 2000 AD, and Heavy Metal Magazine as well. And we're going to talk to him about his work, his influences, and all sorts of other stuff as well, probably, as the conversation goes on. And if you want to make comments, or if you want to join in with the chat or ask questions, please do. And I'll be monitoring that, and we'll answer any questions that you have. So I'm going to run the VT. Well, Sam's going to run the VT because he is there. And then we'll be on with the guest. So, Sam, please run that VT, mate. And good evening and welcome to the Icecast Live, Matt.
Hello there. Hey.
Thank you for joining me. It's really nice to see you. And you're in sunny California, I believe.
I am. It's not actually that sunny right now, but like 99.9% of the time, it's hot and sunny. Yeah.
We just caught you on that one occasion when it wasn't.
1.01%. It's a little cloudy. But yeah.
And you've lived over there for a while, haven't you now?
Not that long, really. It's a bit of a crazy story.
We don't mind crazy stories.
I met Michelle online, who was to become my wife. We developed this relationship online, then I flew over to meet her for the first time in February 2020. And we got married. It was a bit of a whirlwind thing.
Wow.
There and then on the spot. And then I stayed for a bit, and then we flew back. I flew back to England. And then immediately after that, the pandemic hit and everything locked down. Because, I had plans to just move back over there, just sort out my stuff. And
and
I was stuck in England. So, yeah, for a while, flights just weren't available. There was just no option. So, but eventually, we kept our eye on things, and we found out they were finally allowing, if you were a spouse of a US citizen, you would be allowed in. So, end of July 2020, I flew back, and I'm still here. So I'm in the process of applying for citizenship and all that stuff now, which is a very lengthy process. It takes years.
Yeah.
So it's about a year and a half actually. I've been here.
Wow. And are you enjoying it over there? It's a different way of life, isn't it?
It's going to sound really weird, but I grew up in Skelmersdale. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Skelmersdale, which is near Liverpool.
Right.
And it's in town, so it's all very low and modern and spaced out. And I'm in Sacramento. It's exactly the same. We're driving around and this is just like Skelmersdale. So nobody expects that, but
Wow.
No, I love it here. Yeah, I mean, because of the pandemic and the lockdown and everything, I haven't really seen that much of California yet. We do plan to travel around when it's safe. The whole Omicron thing now.
Yeah.
We have to be careful because my wife's elderly mother lives with us too, so she's quite vulnerable.
Right.
So
yes,
we can't really go out much. But it's fine. Yeah, the kids are being homeschooled. Yeah, I've got my setup here. I do all my work here, so don't really need to go out anywhere.
Well, that is the beauty of being an artist, isn't it? A freelance artist is that you can live anywhere. It doesn't really matter as long as you can plug into the internet and you've got something to work with. You can work anywhere in the world. So I assume it hasn't caused much of a disruption to your work.
No. There was like a period of about 3 months when I first got here to when I got up and running properly. So I had a little bit of time out there, but that was fine. It was it's time to settle into life in California and stuff, family life here. So yeah, I just had a thought. I remember, I think we're probably about a similar age. I think when
Around,
I
I
was at
think.
university doing graphic design, we were probably the last generation that they said, if you want to make it big in the art world, you got to move to London.
Yes, that's
So,
exactly what they said to me on
yeah,
my illustration course. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I was never prepared to do that because you
No.
know, I gigged in London a few times, like in my early 20s, playing in bands and that, and I never got on with London. It
No.
wasn't.
It's not for
So
everyone, is it?
no,
It's
no.
somewhere I like to visit. I love
Yeah,
visiting London. It's a great time. Like you go for a couple of days, like a
yeah,
long weekend. You have
yeah,
fantastic. But I'm
yeah,
always really glad to get home.
yeah. That's it. Yeah. So I was always thinking, well, I guess I'm never going to make it as an artist because I'm never going to move to London. But yeah, obviously it all panned out very differently with the internet. Thank God.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
So, going back then to when when you did start to become an artist, was
Hmm.
was was comics always something that held an interest for you, or was that something
Yeah,
that you sort of got
absolutely.
into later on?
Yeah, no, always. I was getting 2000 AD from the age of about 6. My mum used to bring it home. I've still got 5 copies somewhere of that golden era,
Oh,
1982-ish
yeah,
era, with Robo Hunter and Rogue Trooper and Slain,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I've just got 5 left somewhere. I've no idea where they are, but there is somewhere. Um, yeah, my mum used to bring it home for me with a cream egg because I'm
What a
telling
great combination!
you, yeah,
2000 AD cream egg. That's great.
or or a Final Fantasy game book sometimes was the
All
other.
right.
But weren't cream eggs available all year round when we were kids? I'm sure they were.
I'm sure they were. I mean, obviously they get promoted more at Easter,
Yeah,
don't they?
yeah. It wasn't.
But
I didn't
yeah,
imagine that. Yeah. Anyway, um, so yeah, so I always loved 2000 AD, and I read Scream and Warrior and all those. But I think I stopped getting 2000 AD when I was around 10, 11. When you're probably that age where you think, well, I've got to grow up now. But yeah. But then when I was 16, I was I remember this. I was waiting in the newsagents to meet somebody, a friend back home, and I just picked up. I think it was Prog 752, and it had a Cliff Robinson cover. And I just go, whoa, this is still going. And it's full color now, and it's glossy,
yeah.
and it looks amazing. So I dipped back in and just bought it for years after that.
Yeah, got hooked again. And then
Yeah,
got that there's a whole new set of artists and writers then at that point,
yeah,
wasn't there? There was a lot of new
yeah,
talent coming through because
yeah.
they'd
There was like,
already robbed all the big guys for
yeah,
America, hadn't they? So you had this whole new generation. Yeah.
yeah. There was like the Kev Walker fully painted ABC Warriors. That was the one that was like, wow, okay, I need to buy this again every week. Yeah, but like as far as creating comics, when I was doing my foundation year in art at Wigan and Lee College, um, they gave us total freedom for the end of year project, and I did a comic. I produced, I think it was probably about 15 pages, maybe it was less, and I'm exaggerating that now, but it was
It
in my head.
seemed like 15
Yeah, yeah,
pages.
yeah. And it was about the Vietnam War. I don't know why, but
All right.
I've always been interested in military history and history
Wow.
generally as well. So I painted them on like A3, and we exhibited them at the end of the year. I did all right, got a fair enough grade. But when I went to university, I tried it again. I tried sneaking comics in wherever I could, but the tutors weren't really impressed, and they were like,
Yeah. It's always a struggle, isn't it? Most tutors don't really get comics, do they?
no, no. To be fair, there's a lot of snobbery. There was then. I don't know if it's the
Mm.
same now.
I don't
Maybe
think it's as bad now. Like talking, like
not.
when I go into colleges and schools to talk about comics, like they seem a lot more receptive to the idea as an art form. Whereas when I was in college, like yourself, I mean, I remember doing my illustration HND, and the teacher just had no time at all for comics. There was no
Yeah,
interest. It was. I remember them saying once I did a project on John J. Muth, and to me, an amazing artist, but to them, an inferior artist. Well, it's just a comic artist. It's like, God, really? You really think that?
if you took any single John J. Muth panel and framed it and put it in a gallery, it'd look like fine art. So,
Yeah, it's
you know, it,
yeah, I agree. I'm a massive fan. Yeah,
yeah, he's great.
but yeah, it was a lot of it was ignorance, I guess, just not understanding,
Yeah,
what the potential of the art form. But when you've got someone teaching you art who doesn't understand, the full breadth of art, it's a bit disconcerting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I even ended up dropping out of university in my final year. I didn't finish. I just sort of lost all
Right.
heart. Um,
Mm,
you know, so one teacher in particular tried to convince me to finish, but I just didn't have anything in me. I didn't know what to do with myself. So that's when I sort of fell into playing music and playing in bands, and
right,
just
right.
did that for about 10 years.
Another
Um,
creative outlet. It's any way you can get your creativity out there, isn't it?
exactly. Yeah, I had to get my
Mm,
fix somehow, so it became music for about a
yeah.
decade, which was great fun. Really loved
Oh,
it. Yeah. But yeah, you know, people go their separate ways and everything, and
mm,
so I found myself in, like, I don't know, I guess I was about early 30s, 31, 32, thinking, "Oh, what do I do now? What do I do the rest of my life?" I wasn't really. I was working at a college. I was working in education, and
right.
it was supporting, you know, students with learning difficulties and things like that. And I loved that side of it, but there was a whole bureaucratic side, which was,
Yeah.
you know, lots of people will relate to this. That was just
Mm.
wasn't for me. So it was time for an upheaval. So I thought, right, this is it now. I'm going to do art properly. I'm going to dedicate
Go for
myself
it.
to it.
Gonna give it your
Yeah,
full, once and for all. Gonna give it a go. Try and make it as a
yeah,
freelancer. And so,
exactly.
so so what was your first break into freelance comic art then?
Um, See, well, the first people who took a punt on me, as it were, was it was the Dog Breath fanzine. You know, the
Oh right, yeah.
Quake
Oh wow,
guys.
yeah.
Very, very much missed Dave Evans
Very
and
much so.
Richmond,
Yeah.
Richmond Clements. I sent some ideas to them, and they were really receptive and really liked it. And you know, they had a few ideas and pointers and ways to go with it. And then, but yeah, pretty much straight away they were accepting little strips that I'd drawn. One, I
Mm.
think a couple I wrote as well as drew.
All right.
I do like to dip my toe into writing as well.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, so that was the first sort of shoe in the door.
That's a
Yeah,
good way in. I'm a lot of artists I've talked to who've sort of gone on to do bigger things, if you like, for want
yeah,
of a better expression.
yeah.
Started, with Dog Breath and Future Quake. It was such a great. It was a great way of sort of practicing the art, if you like, wasn't it? You wasn't a 32-page monthly book or anything like
Yeah,
that. You could do shorter stories. You could have a go, but the presentation was great. I mean, those magazines, they were so professional the way they were done.
yeah, really nicely made. Yeah, put together. So yeah, and then the next step was starting to attend comic cons and meeting these people. You know, meeting Dave and
Mm.
uh, did I meet Richmond? Sorry if you're watching this, Richmond. I think we met. There was probably a lot of beer involved afterwards.
Yeah, well, there always
Um,
are at the cons, aren't there? There's a lot of beer. You meet a lot of people, a lot of faces. It's like you
yeah,
don't always remember the name. That's my problem. Is like I remember the faces, but like someone introduces you really quick, and it's like, oh, what was the name? Oh
yeah,
no,
yeah. God.
they remember you, but you don't remember them. Oh, it's so embarrassing. So yeah, we've all been there, I think. I've
So,
had a couple of comments in.
oh,
Uh, Noel, do you know Noel?
Noel Hannon, yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, Matt and Shane. Hi, Nell. What else have we got? Hi, Shane and Matt from Neil McClements.
All right, Neil.
Nice to see you guys. Thanks for watching. And I mean, these guys are all from the community,
Yeah,
the sort of like independent comics community. Have you had a lot? I mean, apart from Dave and Rich, do you find that that's a really good place to sort of make connections and network and all that sort of thing?
absolutely do. Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't. It's going to sound really negative, not negative, but over the last couple of decades, probably even, I haven't really, because I've moved around a fair bit. I've not
Mm,
really had a lot of friends that I meet up with physically. So
mm.
my focus has been online, and I'd say most of the best friends, I've probably not even met them in person. They're Facebook friends. They're
Yeah.
people in the community you just mentioned. So yeah, I
Mm.
have met Neil though. We met at where was it? The last one I went to before I left England, in the Midlands. No, yeah, no, near Manchester, Warrington. That was it. We met
Oh,
there.
really?
Yeah, yeah, he's a top bloke, Neil.
Mm.
So yeah, no, I've always found it to be amazingly supportive, and you know, I personally never really see any infighting or cattiness or anything like that. It's just positive. Everybody's rooting for everybody else. Everybody wants to help everybody up. You know, it's brilliant.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's important, isn't it, to have that community because, you know, let's face it, a lot of us aren't making any money. And, you know, obviously yourself, you're doing pretty well, but there's a lot of people in the, you know, the indie community who are doing it purely for the love, you know, and I think if you're doing that, sometimes you do need that support, don't you, from the people around you who are going through the same thing, you know, who and because, you know, most people, let's face it, don't understand why we do it. It's like it's like, well, you're not making any money. It's like, and those who do, you know, probably don't make much, you know. So it's like, well, why are you doing this to yourself? It's like only the community understand that because they have that shared love of comics, you know.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
Really got a choice. It's got to come out. You know, you've got to create.
Oh, we had another comment in. Let's have a look. From Andy Hayes. Hey there, guys. Greetings from sunny Birmingham, England. Enjoyed Matt's colouring on the recent Dexter story.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That's awesome.
And that's Dexter as in the 2000 AD Dexter?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I've done the last two. I'm starting my third one next week, actually, I believe. Pages are imminent from Tazio. He's an amazing artist. So I really enjoyed doing that. Yeah. Excellent. That was a great one of those great moments where, you know, you sort of tentatively approach Matt, see if there's any colouring work at the moment. He's like, "Oh, do you fancy doing a spot on Sinister Dexter or just Dexter as it is at the moment?" I'm like, yeah, I'd like to do that. That'd be awesome. Cool one.
Excellent. And so going from the sort of indie stuff, obviously you've worked with 2000 AD, Dredd Magazine. How did you make that leap? How did that come about?
Yeah, that's the crucial thing. Now it's very hard. I've got to say. I mean, I was plugging away for years. I've only really, let's see, my first gig with 2000 AD was the end of 2018. Yeah, so it's fairly recent. But how it came about, you know, you send samples off and you look at some comic companies have the guidelines and how to submit work and you go about it in a certain way. I couldn't find. The one I'd always wanted to work for was 2000 AD.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously not all American comics are superhero books, but the big ones are. And I've just never really been a superhero kind of guy. I'm not that fussed. So, but I couldn't find out a way of getting my work seen by the editor, 2000 AD, the color work. And then I think, what was it? Yeah, I saw that I was friends with Jim Boswell. Because I collaborated with him on I contributed a pin-up to a graphic novel him and another guy did years ago, like called Martin Hayes. So we remained friends, and I saw that he was doing coloring work for 2000 AD. So I just messaged him out the blue and just said, "Look, how did you do it? How did it come about? How did it work? See, can I just ask what's the secret?" And he said, "Oh, I just went through the contact form on the website." I was like, "What?" That's it. That's the secret way in. I mean, obviously they've got to say yes once they see your work. But right, okay, and so again, I was very fortunate position because I knew quite a lot of the pro artists who were working on 2000 AD, and I asked a bunch of them for some black and white pages to practice on.
It's always good, isn't it?
Yeah. So about 5-6 of them were very happy to send me pages to work on, and I think it was the ones I ended up sending to Matt were PJ Holden Dredd pages that I coloured, and he really liked them. He responded pretty much straight away and said he really liked the style. It was how did he describe it? Sympathetic to the line work without overwhelming it, which I really liked. That because that is what I look for. Yeah, I think, you know, a lot of time with art of any kind, if the way the eye reads it is, you just don't spot anything wrong with it. You sort of like scan it quickly and move, especially with comics, obviously, you know, with the reading, you want the eye to move quickly. So nothing like stands out, nothing's glaring or like interrupts that flow. You want it to be sympathetic, obviously.
Definitely.
So I was really tough with that feedback, and he just said, "Do you fancy colouring a Dredd strip?" And that was that. So I was absolutely bowled over.
That's great, isn't it? What a great start. Well, on Dredd.
Yeah, exactly. Flagship character, the one you've been reading all your life. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'll colour that. So that was awesome, and it's been, you know, sort of semi-regular stuff for them off and on ever since. So
going back to his comment there, I mean, that is a really good comment. I mean, I must admit that's one of the things I like about your color work, is that you are very sympathetic to what the artist is doing, and like because some artists don't even lend themselves to color very much, you know. Yet you've managed to sort of adapt what, you know, you've managed to work around that. And make it work, you know, with your palettes, and they're always are very sympathetic, and I really love how you do that. There's not some colorists, you know, they have their style and that's it, and they will, you know, sometimes overpower what the artist is doing. Yet you seem to be able to adapt, and obviously that has been an intention from the start, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, I think it has to, because there are so many different art styles. Sometimes you're paired with an artist, or you try and get something off the ground yourself with a mate, and it just doesn't work. You know, it just, my style, no matter how much I try and adapt, it just doesn't really enhance those lines. So there's been occasions where that's happened, but yeah, I think you've got to be adaptable. I was thinking back, because, you know, I've been sending samples out again recently, and I've tackled quite a lot of different genres in the last couple of years. Like a big project I did last year was a 200-page graphic novel about the war in the Pacific.
Wow, that's a big project.
Yeah, the American naval. It was the Battle off Samar, it was called, which was based on a book. This is another interesting story, called The Last Stand of the Tin Can Sailors, and that's the same name as the novel adaptation as well. True story, and it turns out, I mean, this was a publisher called Dead Reckoning, and they're the official imprint of the US Navy. So they put out books, graphic novels based on that. I asked the guy how he found me, but it was buried in, I think, an email with about 12 other questions I had for him, and he never got around to answering that one. So I don't know how he found me, but anyway. But the interesting part is, my wife's granddad was in that conflict. He was in that particular action.
Wow.
So I went and told her I got this job, and they were like, Michelle was like, "What? This really good?" And she's like, because, you know, her mum lives with us. She's like, "Wasn't Granddad in?" And like, what? So yeah, an amazing bit of synchronicity there.
Yeah, incredible.
He was an engineer on one of the repair ships. They come up with a system of being able to do repairs out at sea, so they didn't have to put into dry dock, and he was one of the engineers.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So I think that was probably other than Western Noir, which is one of the titles I'm working on. I mean, I'm up to volume 3 of that, and
it's with Accent UK, isn't it?
Yeah, Accent UK. Yeah, that's like an ongoing title. I'm in the process of colouring all the black and white art that they put out over the years. So that's, I think, up to volume 3 now. So I'm currently up to about page 430 altogether. But yeah, the World War II one, the Tin Can Sailors, was the single biggest single graphic novel I've worked on so far, at 200 pages. Yeah, that was a big project. And oh man, you know, because it was a real event. It's military history. The accuracy of all the badges and the color scheme,
especially as it's those guys publishing it, you know, the actual, you know, they're not going to want it to be wrong, are they? They're going to really care about that.
Yeah, and obviously that I understand how important that is, and I wanted to get it right. But I tell you what nearly killed me was painting the dazzle camo patterns. You wouldn't believe how many different dazzle camo schemes there are, and every individual vessel had its own dazzle camo scheme. So I had to, you know, that you can get like blueprints that show it in like you know, like a flat 2D, but you have to, then that ship is shown from all different angles in the graphic novel. So I had to kind of like wrap this dazzle camo design around it. not using any 3D software because I got a clue how to do that. Sort of thing.
Oh, right.
It was
So
all
you had to
beta
find your
back.
own solution how to do
Oh,
that then. Yeah.
yeah, at
That
the end of
sounds
my
a bit
tether there.
challenging.
But I'm really proud of doing it. It's
And
yeah.
did you find, because it's such a big project, that sort of, you know, part way through it, you were sort of almost changing your approach? And did you make discoveries on the way through on a project that
Um,
size?
that does happen a lot. And
Mm.
sometimes to the point where I worry that I'm gonna
Yeah,
look really inconsistent
yeah,
because
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm doing it towards the end of a project or even by the middle is vastly different from the start. Yeah. I
Mm,
didn't really do that on that book though, because again it was the consistency was very important.
mm,
So
mm.
you had to be kind of rigid and workmanlike really and just
Yeah. That's
make
quite a
sure it
challenge, isn't it? I would find that challenging myself, you know, being
was
that rigid and it's a discipline that you have to have, isn't it, on something like that?
yeah,
Mm.
discipline. God, it's something I never thought I'd have when I was in my 20s, but boy, you learn
It comes
fast,
it comes to us all in the end.
doesn't it? Yeah.
A comment from James Gray. A brilliant artist in your own right, Matt, not just a colorist. He's quite
Thank
right.
you, James. I know James. Yeah, he's a fantastic artist as well.
Yes, yes. Another comment from Noel. Sounds as if I may have chosen the right artist to work on Unit 666. I didn't realize Matt had such a war comic chops. There you
Well,
go. Now
nice
you
one.
do know.
Yeah, yeah, big into my military history. So that's an upcoming project for this year, which is going to be
Right.
with Shift. You know, Shift comic.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's
definitely.
like
So is that
yeah,
is that an exclusive, Noel? Is that the first time it's been mentioned, or is this old news?
I'm actually sure. I think yeah, it's a new project starting in a
Mm,
couple of months. I think there's a whole bunch of artists working on it. I'm
mm.
doing one called Blood of the Werewolf. So
Oh.
you know it's World War II with a paranormal spin. So
Oh, I like the sound of that. One of my favorite pulp books is a book called The Wolf's Hour,
oh,
by Robert R. McCammon, which was about a werewolf secret agent in World War II. So
ah, wow,
that sounds like it could be right up my alley.
yeah, I need to check that out too.
Yeah, it's great. If you love like sort of pulpy paperbacks, you know,
I
Robert R. McCammon is brilliant. The Wolf's Hour, They First is another great vampire story he did. It's great stuff if you love that sort of
yeah,
thing, you know. Highly
I'll
recommend
have to
it.
message you later to get those names again.
Yeah, definitely, mate. No worries. So yeah, could be an exclusive, apparently. Well, there you go. Thank you for that, Noel. So well, I suppose we should have a look at some of your work, really,
Okay,
because you know
cool.
we're talking about it, but we're not showing it. So Sam, if you could put up some artwork for us, and we can have a little chat about it. Ooh, 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 give us a chance to talk about it, Sam. So this piece here, Matt, what's this one about? Where did this come from?
Oh well, okay. So last year was so full on with the colouring. I realised months had gone by and I hadn't really drawn anything, and
Mm,
I start to get tetchy if I don't
yeah,
draw for a
yeah,
while, and so I had to address that. So the colouring eased up around October, November, and I ended up just drawing a load of stuff in those couple of months, just for pleasure, just for fun, just
mm,
to keep my hand in. So yeah, this one. I just gathered a load of reference images of things that interested me, and I thought, well, that'll make a cool drawing. This one's based on there's an Instagram account called what is it, Fell and Fair, and they
right,
LARP as Lord of the Rings characters, but like they look like movie level, as you can see. You
right. I was going to
know,
say that looks amazing.
I don't
Yeah.
know how they do it, but the armor and the weapons, the capes, the whole production, and they look fantastic. And they stage all these shots. They have guys dressed up as ring wraiths, and
Mm.
that was just one that really caught my eye. One of the soldiers of Gondor, and I thought, I like doing armor as well. I like trying to
I really
render.
like how you rendered that armor.
Thank
It's
you.
lovely, lovingly rendered. Yeah. Well, what's he
Fell and
doing?
Fair. There we
What are
go.
you doing, Sam?
That's
Oh, he's showing us the Instagram. There you go.
man,
Thank you.
fast. Good work, Sam.
He is. He's getting good at this. Is our Sam? Oh, there are
So
some great shots there, aren't there?
yeah, there's one of the Nazgul. I did that a while back, and they do some Star Wars theme ones. There's a Bo-Katan themed Ranger.
Nice. That's
So
pretty cool.
just
Yeah.
very beautifully made.
I'll have to check that out. And it's a great opportunity, isn't it, to get those sort of things for reference, for images, because
Yeah,
rather than the same worn out old stuff you find online, it's all
yeah,
original stuff. So
yeah.
we actually had a request for this from Noel. Let's see Matt's Old Man Logan pick. It's incredible. I'm inclined to agree. That is really nice, mate.
Thank you very much.
Really
So
nice.
I mean, yeah, these were all just drawn for practice, for pleasure, really.
Oh, that's great.
Nazi werewolf dude from
Yeah.
American Werewolf in London. One of those scenes that really scars you as a kid. I don't know
Yeah.
what age you were when you saw that movie for the first
I was
time.
pretty young. I was too young to be watching it. Let's put it
Yeah,
that way.
I grew up an only child, and it was just me and my mum. And she used to
Right.
she used to do crosswords in the kitchen on her own till like 11 at night, and I could just watch whatever I wanted. She didn't mind. So I saw far too many scary films at a too young an age. But I love them. Didn't really do me
Yeah.
any harm, I think.
No, I don't. I think most people who enjoy horror tend to be quite well-adjusted people, I find, actually.
Yeah, maybe that's because we have that outlet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a professional psychologist, so I don't know why. This is another lovely piece. I mean, these black and white pieces, I got to ask, are they hand drawn or are they digital?
No, they're digital. It's
Right.
Procreate on my
Got
iPad
you.
Pro.
I did wonder. I suspected it was, but I wasn't 100% sure because it actually looks like it could be drawn by hand. It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
This is what I end up doing. I end up doing all my colors digital, and now pretty much everything I draw is digital. But I always strive and want it to look like it's hand drawn. So people might think, well, why don't you just hand draw it then? It's a funny question, but I think I've just become used to the how easy it is to layer things and edit and delete and cut and paste stuff. It's just so much more forgiving than constantly rubbing out and on physical paper. Well, that's what I used to have a problem for years when it came to drawing. If I sat down with a nice piece of cartridge paper or something and I got my best pen out, man, I would just lock up. I would
Yeah.
sort of feel so much pressure making those first marks on the page. I would inevitably do something wrong and then screw the whole thing up.
Oh,
And
totally empathise with that, mate. I mean, the more expensive the paper, the worse as well. Because you don't want to ruin the paper, do you? You got a nice, expensive piece of watercolor paper. It's like, oh, it's got to be right. It's got to be right.
yeah, exactly. Like, this has got to be a masterpiece, or I've wasted my money. So all that is gone thanks to digital.
Yeah.
I do try and make things look kind of organic and traditional as much as I can. So yeah, and another thing that just occurred to me: all these drawings are black and white, and I guess that's probably a response to the fact that I work with color every day. That when it comes to relaxing and drawing, I kind of want to switch that part of my brain off, and I enjoy just doing things like monochrome, really.
So that wasn't a conscious decision then, the black and white. It was just
No, it's just occurred to me recently, I think.
yeah. I mean, there is something about working in black and white, isn't there? I mean, I enjoy it myself, and it's again that thing, discipline. It's a discipline, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The way that you create an image in black and white, it's a different approach to when you have the whole world of color.
Yeah.
It makes you have to make different decisions, don't you?
Yeah, you just focus on getting the values and making it chiaroscuro and all that stuff.
Chiaroscuro, yeah. So we're back onto color now. Thank you, Sam.
Cool.
So what have we got here then? Talk us through this one, Matt.
Right, I've got a little spinning wheel. No image yet.
Oh, have you? You can't see it. I'll bring on some comments while we're waiting for that then. James Gray, and it's also so easy to accidentally two-finger undo too many times on Procreate.
Wait a minute, what? Two-finger undo? Is this something I don't know about?
I think that's what it's meant to say. It says undo, but I think there's a missing N.
Wait a minute, something here I'm not familiar with. James, send me a message.
Elaborate, James. And he's saying nice things. Saying nice things about your drawings. He's a nice guy. So can you see the image yet, Matt?
No, I still have the spinning wheel of doom.
Oh, that's very odd. So what we've got, I'll describe it, and you'll probably be able to guess what it is. It's a page with lots of purple on it. We've got green and purple, some purple snaky worm creatures.
Oh, I know what this is. Yeah, this is from Regened, 2000 AD Regened. It's a strip called Action Pact, which I did early last year. The artist is Luke Horseman, who's wonderful. I love his lines. We've done a few things together now. I think it was Mike Carroll written that one. Yeah, so that was like a 10-page. I think it was the first ever appearance of that strip. So it's kind of like a pilot. See, I don't know if it's anymore. But yeah.
For our viewers who aren't familiar with the concept, the 2000 AD Regend it's basically 2000 AD aimed at a younger audience, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
So sort of the idea is to bring in, new readers and rejuvenate the magazine, I guess. And they do it sort of so many times a year, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not sure how regular it is. Maybe 2 or 3 times a year, I think. I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, some people are fans of it. So I've seen lots of comments online. It's like some people love it because it's bringing in new readers. Some people really don't like it, do they? It's sort of like, I want my old 2000 AD.
Yeah, there's that element. Course.
So I suppose the readership has grown, hasn't it? Has aged with the book. I would imagine. I mean, I think there was a survey done a while ago on 2000 AD readership, and most of them are sort of our age and above, aren't they?
Yeah. So I mean, they've got to try and bring in a new generation of readers if it wants to survive. I find myself doing this. I'm a big Star Wars guy, so. I find myself railing at Disney. I'm not one of those guys. I'm pretty much happy overall with everything they've done. But I'm like, just do a poll. You'll find everyone watching Star Wars now is in their 40s. So make more things like Rogue One. Why are you bothering with that? So I'm doing exactly what these 2000 AD readers do. So
I'm the same. I mean, of the recent stuff, since like Star Wars went to Disney, I think Rogue One is the only one that I really, I've enjoyed, Mandalorian and stuff, but Rogue One I thought was excellent. So far ahead of the trilogy stuff. But obviously it is aimed at me.
Exactly.
Which is why. Yeah, and the other stuff is aimed, I think, at that younger audience.
My daughter, 9 years old, she absolutely loves Rey. She loves that character. She came up to me just the other week and said, "Can we watch some Star Wars?" And I was overjoyed, of course, and thrilled. And I was like, "Which one do you want to watch?" She goes, "What's the first one with the girl in it?" I'm like, "Oh, that's The Force Awakens. That's episode 7. Let's sit down and watch that." And she loves it. So there you go. It's doing what it's meant to.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, I think a lot of the criticisms are fair of the writing and that sort of thing. And I think when people pull it apart, a lot of the time it's not. It's not just pure hatred. I think there are genuine criticisms that can be leveled at those films. It's not difficult. But if the kids are enjoying it, who are we to say it's wrong? I mean, I remember my parents, when I used to watch the original trilogy, it was like, can't you watch something else? And I remember I used to draw Star Wars stuff all the time. I had a huge, all my sketch pads were full of pictures of Han Solo and most Han Solo. I had a total man crush on Harrison Ford, and my parents didn't like this. It was like, you need to be drawing something else. You're obsessed with Star Wars, and I'm sure it's like that. It's just the same thing happening again, isn't it?
Yeah. I've just read this comment on the right. I've been pulled up by Sam. It's pronounced Regend, which is how you said it, not Regened. I'm sorry. I've always said it Regened from the Road Trooper days when I was a kid.
Right, yeah.
Teaching old dog new tricks now, Sam. I'm afraid you may well be right, but
Sam is a huge 2000 AD fan. I mean, regular view.
Yes, I am. Hi, Matt.
Hey, hello.
I could see you nodding in the studio when Matt was talking about 2000 AD. There, Sam.
Well, yeah, you're getting to my my sphere of knowledge here. I mean, well, I'm not an artist, but I do enjoy 2000 AD, and I do a weekly review of 2000 AD on my YouTube channel.
You always get to plug in every week, you know.
No, but the regen issues are interesting. I think the main problem that people have is that is the subscribers. So they're kind of like it's foisted on them, and it is, and it does kind of. If you've got 2000 AD stories that go along, and then suddenly it sort of cuts to something else.
Oh, look, he's frozen. What a shame.
It's watching a film. Show a cut through.
Oh, he's back now.
Yeah.
You froze then, Sam.
Yeah. Well, you froze, but anyway.
Was it me? Oh, sorry.
No, I don't know what. So I like the idea behind the regen, and there is some good stuff in it, but it's an interesting thing. I don't know. Is it work? Does it not? I don't know.
We've got some comments about it here, actually.
Okay.
From Andy. Not a fan of regen myself. I know it's important to get new readers to help the comic survive. So I think, yeah, he's saying the same as what we said, basically. You know, so whether it's not aimed at us, but it's an important thing to do, I think.
I mean,
from
when
James, I thought it was regened as well. Who knew? There you go. You're not the only one, Matt.
That's a relief. Wow. James.
And what we got from Noel, I really enjoyed Regen, and I have been an on and off 2000 AD reader since Prog 1 when I was 10.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
To be fair though, Noel, you're not the target audience for it. It's for the kids.
But he likes it. That's the point.
Yeah,
he still likes it.
That is good. That's a benefit. And when you were a kid, you never wanted to like watch or read stuff that was aimed to your age group? You always wanted to see the older stuff, like you were talking about horror films.
Yeah,
you wouldn't want to watch a horror film that was made for kids. You'd want to watch the adult stuff.
Yeah,
you know, 2000 AD when you were a kid, it was like, whoa, look at him, he blew his head off. Oh, he stabbed him. Oh, that guy got squashed. You know, it's like, you know, if your parents saw it, they'd be like, what are you reading? Oh my God, this is not suitable.
Yeah.
But you'd be like, yeah, this is brilliant. This is what you want. And
that was the beauty, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if your parents had given you 2000 AD and said, oh, read this. This is really good. You know what you would have said? You'd said exactly what my kids say to everything I tell them to read and watch. It's like, no way, Dad, we're watching this. It's about our own thing. So
that generation gap's always there.
Yeah, but Benji did read an episode of Regen once and did enjoy it. So I don't know.
There you go. It did its job then, Sam. Anyway, get back in your cupboard.
Want some more pictures? I'm having internet problems.
Please. How are you? Sorry, mate. Yeah, you show us a bit more artwork, mate. That'd be nice.
Right, bye.
Bye. I was wondering how long it would be before he came on once we started talking about 2000 AD. Oh, yes, Noel. Yeah. It doesn't matter. If you like it, you like it. That is very true.
Fair enough.
So you can be proud of your contribution there, Matt.
I am very much so. Yeah.
So what we got is this more regen stuff.
Oh, again, it's not working for me. Describe it.
Right, we've got a dinosaur, a green background, a guy in a red suit.
It's Dexter.
It's Dexter.
There it is. Of course it is. Yes, Dexter.
That was from the first episode I did of Dexter.
All right.
Yeah, which I think that was in the prog a month or so before Christmas. It's a fairly recent one. So yeah, that was one of them where, like, when Matt, the editor, 2000 AD, contacts you and asks you if you want to do a strip, he's a man of few words, really. So you don't really get a lot of information. A lot of the time I don't even know who the artist is until I get the art.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you'll just go, here's the link, get the pages here, and so I downloaded them, opened them up, and that was the first thing. And I saw those dinosaurs, and I was like, oh man, this is going to be good.
Oh, you can't beat dinosaurs for fun, can you?
Tatio draws a fantastic dinosaur, so yeah, that was my inner child was very happy.
I suppose the challenging part of it when you're colouring it is dinosaurs in a jungle. How do you get that colour to work? You know, you've got green dinosaurs, you've got a green jungle, you probably got guys camouflage.
Yeah.
And
I had quite a big back and forth with Tatsu on that, because he's an amazing artist, and he does his own color on his own stuff a lot of the time. He knows his onions, so he had a lot of ideas about how to go about it, and so we worked out together really how to go about this one. So yeah, he had a lot of ideas, particularly when it came to
Matt,
the dance.
did you do the cover? Did you color the covers for?
No, that was Tatsu himself.
Okay. Anyway, I'll stop.
Can't resist. Can you see the other page up now, Matt? There's another page displaying.
I'm afraid.
It's let me see what it looks like a Baba Yaga type character. Lots of flames. Oh, he's took it down now. I can't see it either.
I know that was from the heavy metal strip I did with Dave Hitchcock.
Yes.
Yeah.
John Redfield. I wanted to ask you about this because I obviously I work with Dave on various things, and I loved how you coloured his work, because Dave is one of those artists I was talking about where his work, he does a lot of shading. The way he draws, it's designed to be black and white, really, and his style is a very black and white, like monotone style. So I was really interested how you managed to make it work so well with color. Did you find that to be a challenge, or did it come easily for you?
Yes and no, because no, because I've actually worked with Dave before. We go back a fair ways as well. I think our first thing together was in Aces Weekly about 10 years back.
Yeah.
Paradise Mechanism. So that was the first thing I coloured of his, I think. I've done bits and pieces over the years, kept in touch and loved Dave's work.
Yeah.
So, but when it came to this one, it had been a while, and I was used to colouring solid black ink. So, the yes to the yes part of the answer is because it took a while to get back into it and figure out how do you do this, because it's you want to he keeps the pencils in, he shades and textures with the pencil.
It's a really unique approach. Dave's approach is so unique, and the way he does highlights with over with the pencils afterwards as well. It's just
you don't want to lose any of that. So
no,
I can't remember really. It's a totally different mindset to colouring, say, a solid inked thread strip. But yeah, I could call on that past experience. So I was really pleased with how that page in particular came out. Yeah, I really like that one. So
it's lovely. It is absolutely lovely. It's I will gladly say it is the best colouring I've seen on Dave's work, and I'm sure Dave won't mind me saying I prefer it to his own colouring even. But obviously, Dave's colour work is also beautiful. But I just love the way you approach it. I think it really works so well.
Thank you.
And can you see the page now? We've got a Dredd page.
No.
So this is a page from the magazine, the latest. Not the latest. Is it the latest one? One where Dredd goes to the planet which he saw in the Judge Child.
Savior. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my most recent.
And basically fucks over all the locals. I quite enjoy this one.
Yeah,
he totally does.
Old school.
You think he's a hero, and then at the end, he turns out to be just as much of a bastard as everyone else.
That's Dredd, isn't it?
Classic Dredd. I did enjoy this one.
Oh, cool. Yeah, beautifully drawn by Steve Austin. He's a great guy. This is the one with the big...
liked his $6 Million Man face.
Is this the page with the battle scene at the top that takes up half the page?
Right.
About 600 people in it. Yeah.
That's the one. I bet that was fun to do.
Oh man, yeah, that was a pretty tight deadline as well, that one. So
really,
there were some tears before bedtime, a couple of nights before the deadline.
I mean, do you find that on 2000 AD? Because obviously, it comes out every week, and you're sort of later on in the process. Do you find that sometimes you are, up against it with deadlines?
To be honest, no. And this must be down to Matt's excellent editorial and managerial skills. No, I generally have plenty of time. The Dexter strip that was in the Christmas one, the 10-pager, that was pretty last minute. That's the only one though, really, where I've been up against it. Yeah, it's pretty well organised in those terms.
I suppose the beauty of it is with something like 2000 AD, which is, you know, which has got lots of different stories. You can put stuff in the bank, can't you? As an editor, you can say,
Yeah.
right, there's a 10-page like one shot here. We can just bank that for when, you know, if somebody misses a deadline, we've got a story in the drawer. I imagine Matt probably has a few of those in place.
Yeah, I mean, there's one or two things that I've coloured that it's been months since until they see publication.
Yeah.
And then another 6 months till the comps finally reach me here in California.
Yeah, you're probably the last artist to get their comps.
Right over here on the West Coast.
So we've got another page up now. It's a zombie page.
Yeah. This was the video game tie-in. What's it called? The Zombie Army. They do a video game of it, don't they? I haven't played it, so I'm not too familiar.
I'm not a video game guy. Maybe someone in the comments or Sam can educate me.
Zombie Army Last Rites, I think it was. A World War II paranormal thing. So yeah, another one that was great fun to do. That was a 5-parter that ran in the magazine end of 2020, I think, into 2021. That was a really cool one. I enjoyed that a lot. You know, lots of bombed out European towns and zombies shuffling around.
I mean, those are two great. I always loved that combination of genre.
Yeah.
War and zombies. It always seems to work. You know, I don't know why.
The supernatural. There we go.
There we go. Yes. Very
cool.
I've
got Steam. I should probably play
it. Yeah, definitely. Give it a go. Calling back from Darren Stevens, Hitchcock and Soph, a match made in heaven.
Oh, bless you, Darren.
Oh, there you go. Darren is a colour artist himself.
He is. Yeah, fantastic colourist.
Yeah, we are quite spoiled actually in the UK indie scene for some really good colour artists. You know, over the years we've developed quite a few top-notch color artists, not just in the indie scene either. I mean, 2000. I mean, there's some great colorists working in 2000. I mean, the ones that spring to mind, Dylan Teague, for example.
I mean,
wow, what fantastic color artist! You know,
stunning. Yeah, Jim you mentioned earlier.
He
was really coming into his own. He's doing some beautiful work.
Yeah. Peter Doherty is another one. I think he's quite pretty talented. Yeah, we're pretty spoiled for choice, aren't we, with color artists in the UK? I think.
Yes, yeah, I guess so.
So, can you see this page now? No. Don't know what's happened to the technology tonight.
I think it's another one. It's another Dexter page.
Yeah, it looks like Dexter in the corner there. Yeah.
So this is from the Christmas story.
Yes.
That's the one that I did pretty close to the wall there with the deadline. But again, I was really chuffed with how it came out, and I'm pretty happy with that one.
And we've got on the screen now. We've got a Western, which I assume is from the Accent UK stuff.
It's got to be, yeah. Yeah, that's. So earlier when we talked about how I made the leap from small press and spare time artist to full time, it was two things happened around the same time. One was getting the gig on Dredd, and the other was Accent UK decided to have Western Noir, the full saga, completely coloured.
Yeah,
they release it in single issues, which are about 35 pages per issue. They're up to about number 9, but it's planned to go up to I think 16.
I think that's impressive. Yeah,
they've started collecting these, so four single issues make up a volume, and so I've been colouring these, and we've been releasing these with Accent. First one is out, so that collects issues 1 to 4. The second one is done and is out. I'm not sure when, but it's imminent, and I'm currently working on the third one. Wow. So it was that decision, Accent approaching me and saying, we'd like the full strip coloured. That was like hundreds and hundreds of pages of work, which enabled me to that in 2000 AD. I was like, right, yeah, it's time. I think I'm going to take the gamble. And I was still working in education at the time, but I wasn't happy. So
but that gave you, you know, like you say, it's a few, you know, hundreds of pages. It
yeah,
gives you that little bit of security to say, I can take the leap. Yeah.
Those are the two things that enabled me to make the leap. Yeah, and you know, it's been my only income ever since then, about 4 years ago now. So I wouldn't say, you know, I'm not rolling in it or anything, but I get by. So I'm immensely proud that I made it to this point.
So you should be, mate. So you should be. It's a hell of an achievement. You know, I think there's a lot of people probably watching this like now live and also, you know, later on YouTube who probably have aspirations to be, you know, professionals or freelancers. And, you know, every time we see someone else make it and make something of it, it gives us all a bit of hope, you know. It can be done if you work hard and you're dedicated and you have a little bit of self-belief, I think, is the key, isn't
That was the thing I always lacked. Yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm not too bad with that anymore. I'm pretty confident I can do what I do well enough. You know, not to blow my own trumpet or anything, but you know, yeah, self-belief has been an issue for years. You know, yeah, but yeah, you can. It's hard. I will admit it's very hard getting to the point where it's your income and you're doing it full time. But you know, I mean, it was probably 10 years. It took me 10 years or more to get to that point.
And you have to make the decision, don't you? You have to make that decision that that's what you're going to do. You can't you can't be half-hearted about it.
No, if you are, it won't happen. Because you know, those 10 years were when I had a full-time job. I was coming home and sitting on the couch and doing it until bedtime. You know, so you're talking, I don't know, 18-hour days or something, day after day. And it's hard, but depends how much you want it, I guess. And
definitely.
you know, there's been a hell of a lot of luck involved as well. I won't lie. Those opportunities arising when they do, it's key. You know.
Oh yeah, I think that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I don't call it luck; I call it opportunity and making the best of it. Because I think we all get these opportunities in life, don't we? But it's seizing them, you know, and making the best of them. And yes, some people get more than others, but I think sometimes when you work really hard, you create those opportunities. You know, you put yourself out there, you do the networking, you make the contacts, you work, you produce good work.
That's
you
true.
know, I think you know, to an extent, you make your own luck. To a certain extent, you know.
That is partially true, I think. Yeah.
Can you see the screen now? We've got a lovely image from the Western Noir, I think it is. It's a split screen, like it's like a glass effect.
Oh yeah, that was like a double splash page.
Yeah.
Western Noir is obviously I'm biased, but it's a great title. I don't know why everyone isn't buying it in the whole world, because it's awesome.
I agree.
And it's great fun to work on. It's not, you know, the basic premise is you got your kind of archetypal gunslinger type, and he but the spin is he's given these special goggles to wear by this nefarious shadowy type guy, and he sees people for how they really are. It's like, you know, kind of they live sort of thing. When he puts the goggles on, you'll see that woman in the bar, the saloon, or whatever, is actually a crocodile demon or something, and then you know, violence ensues. But it's awesome. It's a great blend of the Western genre with horror and supernatural stuff.
Oh, it's great fun. It's great fun. I mean, actually, Sam's showing some more pages here, and it is great stuff. And is it Gary Crutchley, the artist, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Consistently good as well, I think. And obviously Dave West is the writer, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Great stuff. We've had Dave on here actually
cool.
before. It was promoting the V2A stuff with with those guys. That was a fun show actually. They're full of it, aren't they? Full of energy, those guys.
I'm colouring that as well, actually.
Oh yeah, really? You're getting yourself about there, mate. You're doing well. You're doing well. We've got a little question from Chris Asker. Matt, who would you like to colour that you haven't already? Good question. Thank you, Chris.
Good question, Chris.
Is there anyone left?
Let's see. Well, I don't. I mean, my my personal idea of a perfect comic art is golden era Mike McMahon,
Hmm.
or I really loved Duncan Fegredo when he was drawing Hellboy. I even
Oh
preferred
yeah.
it to Mike Mignola's Hellboy. I know
He's
that's
a great
sacrilege.
artist. No, I totally get it. I mean, I love Mike Mignola. I'm a huge fan. I've
Yeah,
bought every single Mignolaverse book ever, of the
yeah.
comics. I bought
I'm,
every comic. I'm a big fan. But
I'm a bit behind, but yeah, they're my favorites. The BPRD
Duncan,
and
Duncan is absolutely superb.
well,
His,
so that run when he did, what was it, Darkness Calls and the Wild Hunt, and
yeah.
that run, and I was privileged to see the pages were on display at the Lakes Festival a couple of years
Right.
back, not
Yeah.
long before I moved out here, and I saw them. And see when you see the physical pages and you can see like the pen
Mm,
marks,
mm,
it's different, and you're like you just gain a whole new level of appreciation for
mm.
that page, seeing like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that was physically made, and it's only this big, or
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would, yeah, Duncan Fegredo for Shooting for the Stars. I want to colour him.
Oh, do it. I'll get in touch with him. Let's make it happen. I mean, I remember Duncan and Mike were both guests at one of my old Bix conventions,
All
and
right, yeah,
we were lucky enough to have a panel with the two of them. It was
right,
the Wild Hunt was just about to come out,
yeah,
and they were doing a talk about the artwork and the story, and that was one of the best panels I'd ever seen.
wow,
It was one of my shows, but I'm a bit biased, obviously. But to see Duncan and Mike talking together about
yeah,
that work when it was new,
yeah,
it was a really exciting time, because obviously Mike had done all the artwork until that point on Hellboy, and it was a big. It was, it was a big thing to bring in another artist, and I
yeah,
think, to be honest, Duncan is probably the only person who could have done it at that time
yeah,
and to that level, and made a great job of it.
absolutely, yeah. Well, the stuff with the Arthurian undead knights and everything, and the shambling armies of,
Mm.
yeah, and the whole the British folklore angle I loved, because I'm really interested in that too. In
Yeah.
fact, we've got a book coming out. Me and Richmond are working on a book now about British folk tales and folk,
All
you know,
right.
Black Shuck and all that.
Wow.
That's in the works at the moment. That'll be kickstarted hopefully later this year.
Oh, it's exciting, isn't it? There's so much cool stuff coming out at the moment in the, in the indie scene. It's just
Yeah,
there's talent. It's just amazing. You know,
yeah,
it's really good to be part of it.
yeah, I
And
agree.
answer has to be Chris Askham.
Yeah, I've covered this already though. So
Yeah, there you go.
me and Chris did a web comic years ago, with Connor Boyle and Kev Lavelle and
Right.
James Walker, and the guy who wrote it was, I don't know if you were on the 2000 AD forums, but do you remember a guy who just went by the name The Emperor?
I do, actually. I remember that. I remember that identity on the forum. Yeah, because I remember
He
his little
he,
picture, his
he
little
just
icon.
dropped off site some years ago, and I had no idea what happened to him. No one seems to know.
Yeah.
I hope nothing bad happened. Obviously, he was a
Well,
great.
yeah.
We
Maybe
were
he
going to
just decided not to be the emperor anymore, perhaps.
maybe just went back to being Dave or something.
I assumed it was somebody we knew, and they were
Yeah,
just. It was like a pseudonym.
he
But
walks
yeah,
amongst us all this
yeah,
time.
yeah.
But yeah,
Somebody somewhere knows who it is.
I'm pretty sure I coloured one or two of Chris's pages for that. I might be wrong, Chris. Please do say if I'm wrong. I think that's how I actually. That was the first time I ever coloured someone else's comic art, and I can't even remember how it came about. It was probably just due to deadlines. Like
Mm.
we did this web comic called Fractal Friction, and
Oh, Griff.
we put up a page a week. We did it for about a year, and so sometimes if the deadlines were pressing and guys didn't have the time to colour their own work, I would step in and add colour.
Mm.
I think that's how it
Mm.
started. Yeah, the whole colouring thing.
Right. So there wasn't an intention to be a color artist then. It was something that just sort of came along.
I'll tell you what it is. Yeah, it wasn't intentional, but I did at one point stop and think. For drawing comics takes me a long time, to the point where, because it's my own source of income, it stops being profitable at all. I'll do a page a week. No one can live on that. No, you're supporting the
No.
family. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
colouring I can do quick enough to make it pay enough.
Yeah.
So just to be ruthlessly mercenary about it for a minute. It's just necessity.
No, it makes sense. And that's what the great thing is. You can do both, can't you? You can do those personal projects, with the art that you really enjoy, and you get a lot out of personally. But then you can do the colouring to make it work financially. It's the best of both worlds, really, isn't it?
So yeah, and I hope that didn't come across right. I do enjoy colouring. Obviously, I love colouring. I'm constantly seeing things online, like photographs or just even an advert, and I think that's a really nice palette. So I'll screenshot it and stick it in a folder, and always absorb color reference and inspiration. So,
who would you say then, as talking as from the color art point of view, who do you have an inspiration? Are there other color artists you look to, the way they work?
There's only really one, to be honest. It's Dave Stewart.
Well, yeah, one of the best in the business. Definitely.
Yeah, I've always just adored the way he does it. It's with him, which is kind of what I strive for. It's not like overly rendered or flashy. No. It's simple. A lot of it is practically flat color, but it's the color choices that he makes, and that's what makes it. His eye for a palette is just unbeatable.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's the only real huge inspiration.
He's a boss, isn't he? Yeah, a great color artist. I mean, I like I say, I've bought every Hellboy book, and also Baltimore. The stuff he did on Baltimore was absolutely it sends shivers the back of my neck when I think of those books. They were so great, for every aspect of them. The stories, the art, the color. It was just so well put together, those books. I mean, you look back at the breadth of work as well, that character, how the character was developed, because he seemed quite two-dimensional at the very start, and as he developed and we found out more about him, and the supporting cast. That's what I always love about those books. They've got a great supporting cast, haven't they?
Yeah, I've got to tell you, that's the last and possibly the only time I've ever. No, okay. The second time I've ever cried a comic. First was Red Mouse. But the second time was Roger, BPRD.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
remember that?
Heartbreaking.
And the knowledge seeping in slowly that he's not coming back. That's it.
And they kept to it. I mean, there were a few teases, weren't there, on some of the stories that he might and it was always going on in the letter pages, is Roger going to come back, but I'm glad they kept him gone. Oh yeah, it was because he was a beloved character. I mean, how gutsy is that to kill off? Sorry if it's a spoiler for anyone, by the way. He's not read Hellboy yet, or BPRD, should I say? But to kill off a character that was so loved. But that takes some guts, doesn't it?
It really does. Yeah, he just had that childlike innocence and wonder, that quality. He really didn't. I mean, he was obviously capable of acts of violence as part of the team, but he just didn't. He didn't really deserve that fate, and that's what made it hard.
I mean, it's great writing. It was a masterstroke. It really was, because I mean, that occurrence sort of had an effect on the rest of Hellboy continuity for many years to come, and it's great stuff. And I love the way that the whole universe is so well maintained, because it's that sort of singular vision of like one or two writers all on the same page. I mean, I loved the BPRD, John Arcudi run on that. It was just what a great writer,
Absolutely. Plague of Frogs, that's my favorite arc of anything ever, I think, in comics.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a few emotional moments reading those, and it's a roller coaster of emotions, isn't it? Because it's not just the feels; it's also those sort of like punching the air moments, when a character gets their moment in the sun, it's great stuff. Anyway, we're being very self-indulgent here, aren't we, Matt? We've gone over the hour. I have to say, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It really has.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome. Nah, no worries, man. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So all the best. And is there anything that you would like to plug that you're working on at the moment, or is it all hush hush?
Let's see. Well, I would like to mention the novel that my wife and I co-wrote last year and put out through Kickstarter. We did, yeah. We actually wrote it while we were separated in the pandemic. When I was in England, she was here. It was a way of trying to put all the dread aside. Like, are we ever even going to see each other again? We didn't know. There was the times during those early months of the pandemic, you didn't know how bad it was going to get, whether they were ever going to reopen flights or what. Anyway, we wrote a book, and it's called Last Road to the Backwoods.
Okay.
And it's set in 1930s backwoods Pennsylvania, and it's kind of like a murder mystery, noirish thriller with supernatural elements as well.
Right.
Okay. It kind of like nods to the likes of David Lynch. It's a bit Twin Peaksy. It's a bit Lovecraft.
You're selling it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you can send me a link, man. It's
available through Michelle's shop on Big Cartel. I think if you just search Michelle Joy Gallagher Soph, a bit of a mouthful,
right.
Which is awesome. You can get it there. And she's writing a sequel at the moment, and I have ideas for a prequel. So yeah, we're hoping to continue that series.
That sounds cool. That's well done. I mean, so many strings to your bow. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
That takes some dedication, spitting out a novel, doesn't it?
Oh man, I still don't really know how we did it. Yeah, yeah, I'm not really sure, and whether we can recapture the magic. I'm sure we can. Just that, yeah, we'll see.
It's just rekindling that, like the thought process that you had at the time, isn't it? It's not always possible. We have one more comment before we go, which I will read out from James. I'd love to see you colour some Mike Perkins. Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool. That would be cool. Well, I know Mike pretty well, actually. He lives near me in Shrewsbury, so I'll see what he thinks.
Okay.
Brilliant. Well, thanks ever so much, Matt. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, mate. Thanks for coming on. All the best with all of the projects, and you have yourself a great evening, mate.
Well, it's only 1:15 p.m. here, so
when it comes around, enjoy your lunch.
I shall.
Well, VT, Sam, thanks very much, mate.
I adore Dick.